Dr. Cunningham and Brian Rushing from Belmont Abbey. Some of you met on the Hornets tour earlier this semester. They're going to talk to you about going to their program in sports management, possible internship opportunities, and working in sports, what it takes. Okay? I'll just let you guys.
All right, thank you.
Discuss.
Feel free. I'm used to more of a question and answer style, so feel free to interrupt. If you have any questions, let me know. I am the chair of sport management, and I've been at Belmont Abbey. This is my third year, and so we have a really thriving, growing degree that basically prepares students to go and work in the sport industry. So obviously you can imagine the sport industry is very wide. So we have some students who want to do ticket sales. We have some students who want to do sport media. We have some students who want to do nothing but cut on Final Cut Pro. We have students who work events. So you can imagine that the sport industry is very, very wide. And what we try to do is take the students' interest and tie that with classwork for them to prepare them for that type of career. So with the variety of the sport industry, we also have a variety of classes. We have a lot of humanity type classes, such as sports psychology, sports sociology, contemporary issues in sports. Sorry, I'm moving around here. And then we have classes all the way on the other side of the spectrum, more on the business side, things like business finance, marketing, event and facility management. And for example, our event facility management class just did a big project last week with the city of Mount Holly. Anyone familiar with Mount Holly? Just north of Belmont. And so the city of Mount Holly gave our students a budget. They planned an entire Halloween event, which was last Thursday. There was about 2,000 of Mount Holly residents that came in costume, the kids, lots of smiles. It was great. We ran out of parking. And so what we try to do is in each class put together types of projects that are very applicable to helping students with a career. Also from that standpoint, we also require internships for all of our students. And that includes everything from the NASCAR Hall of Fame to the Gaston Grizzlies, a bike shop back home, wherever that might be. So we're building those relationships and trying to place students in areas that are very particular to their needs and interest.
I was going to show them the agreement so they could kind of see the different classes,
absolutely.
but the Gaston email system is down.
It's all right.
It's been down all morning, so you've emailed me. I haven't responded to you.
And actually, and in some ways that's a good thing, right?
Right. In some ways that's good, but anyone who's really interested, I'm happy to print the list of classes. They have a lot of religion and philosophy classes and a lot of classes that you guys don't take here. Some you can take here and some you'd have to go there to take. So if you do go there, you'll be taking a lot more humanities classes than you do here.
So the agreement that we worked on very hard to try to make it seem very reasonable for those of you who are graduating with this broadcasting degree. We worked up, I believe, 60 hours completed here and 60 hours completed at Belmont Abbey. And within that 60 hours that you would complete at Belmont Abbey, for example, there are a couple of religion classes and a couple of political philosophy text classes that you would need to take. But also, for example, we have a couple of sport broadcasting courses that we're going to take your film and technology. Help me out with the name of that class.
Video 1, Video 2,
it might have been.
Capstone.
There were several classes that we're going to transfer in and count as upper.
I think it was Video Production 1.
I think it was Video Production 1. So we're going to be able to take those classes from here and transfer that into major classes for sport management. And so that it's a real nice 60 and 60 combination once you graduate from here.
It is going to take some forward planning though, if this is something you want to do, because your 9 credits of electives that you have to take, and your humanities, your social science, all of that are going to have to be specific courses that Belmont Abbey needs. So to make it work, you've got to kind of plan out everything. You can't just take whatever you want and then think it's going to match up, because it's not how it's going to work.
I'm trying to think. We also are very open to interns from here coming and helping us with our broadcasts, our sports broadcasts with the athletic department. The Department of Sport Management, myself, has teamed up with Mr. Rushing. You're going to enjoy listening to him. We have teamed up for the last 3 years. This is the 3rd year to develop our broadcast for the athletic department. And so last year we broadcasted roughly 130 sporting events. And this year,
and upwards of 175.
yes. So just about every other day we are completing a broadcast, whether that's soccer at 2 o'clock today, and then women's volleyball at 7 o'clock tonight, 6:45 airtime if you want to listen in. Our students are working also with the athletic department on a very hands-on approach. For example, tonight's women's volleyball match, we'll have a team of 3 students, 2 camera people, and 2 camera ops, as well as a switcher and a student running commercials, switching between cameras, things like that. So those are some of the opportunities that we are providing our students even on campus. And we can also provide those types of opportunities. And in reality, your expertise, right? The young lady who is going to be camera ops this afternoon at women's volleyball, she doesn't know how to white balance a camera, right? And so it would really, your expertise would really help us out if this is something that you would like to help us with it this spring or in following. I mean, your expertise is way higher than our current students, and so we do a lot of training. You would step in immediately and be a big help. Thank you. I mean, really, the next step is emailing myself and Mr. Rushing, and we'll make that a really easy transition with basically any questions from some of the classes that you might need, what actually, what a transfer would look like after you graduate from here. We want you to graduate from here, all right? That's very important to us, so that then you can move in with a lot of that classwork. You move in with a lot more classwork with that associate's degree than you do without. So I mean, that's something that we've talked about from day one. And I'll let Mr. Rushing here in just a second expound on some other opportunities within the athletic department, but we feel like this class is the class that has the expertise to help us get to our next level at Belmont Abbey with our broadcasting as well. So thank you very much for having us here.
It's kind of absurd that I actually get an opportunity to speak to any of you today. About a quarter century ago, this was the first college classroom that I was ever into. It was an English class a quarter century ago, and everybody was facing that direction. And it's kind of intriguing thinking of what it was like being 18, 19 years old and looking at this place now.
This very classroom.
Yes, this very classroom a quarter century ago. Let me gauge the room a little bit. How many of you are definitely decided, I want to do sports as a broadcast career, production, camera, whatever?
Just sports.
Specifically sports.
There's a bunch that are undecided on.
Yes.
Okay. How many of you are not interested at all in sports and want to go into a completely different realm?
I mean, I like sports and everything. I kind of want to be all around.
Okay.
There's a lot of them that are undecided.
How many of you are undecided? Guess what?
I am too.
That was me. To kind of give you a little bit of background, and I'm not going to bore you with this because I can promise you when I was in this classroom, I was bored by a lot of middle-aged white guys telling me stuff. Okay, so the reality is this: when I was here at Gaston College, I was completely displaced. My goal was to be the next budding baseball superstar that comes out of nowhere and makes it. There was only one problem. I wasn't really that good. I didn't know that at the time, and it took a few years to kind of figure it out. I came to college thinking, okay, it'll get mom and dad off my back, and I can continue working out, and who knows, it'll add to the biography of Brian Rushing. Didn't work that way at all. In fact, I can remember specifically being out in the quad, and a buddy of mine who was actually a DJ at the radio station about a quarter century ago said, Brian, I think that you need to come with me, and I think you need to talk to somebody in the radio station. And I was like, what about radio? I like listening to radio. I listen to games all the time, but if I'm playing baseball, I'm not going to need radio. Tell you, Mark, I'm good. I'm just going to go on to my English class. Biggest mistake I ever made in my life. The program here a quarter century ago was not nearly as robust as what it is now. You guys are really taking in a ton of different stuff from a variety of programs. For my buddy Mark, he was literally walking in, spending 3 hours on air, and walking out and getting credit for it. He was learning stuff kind of at his speed, kind of learning things that, you know, maybe he'll need, maybe he won't need. He ended up landing a job in radio, and it was really kind of short-lived, and he's doing something completely different now. The technology had something to do with that, but the reality was it just wasn't as big a thing for him at age 30 as it was at age 18. My path was completely the opposite. I had to learn. I wasn't very good at baseball. I had to learn that there were other things that I wanted to do in life that were centered around sports that I didn't even know at the time was actually prepping me for a career in sports broadcasting. Some of you in here I've seen around. Some of you in here I've even worked with in previous projects before. Some of you I've never even seen before. The one thing that I can give you some insight on is you guys, I can tell, you guys have spent a lot of time thinking about what it is that you want to do. You have actually started putting some legs to what it is that you're starting to do. And you've gotten your hands dirty enough to understand what it is that you want to do. And that is a huge, huge step to take. It's almost important at this stage for many of you to find out what it is that you don't want to do as opposed to what it is that you do want to do. And I was able to learn that very early on in life just by failing. I know that that's not cool. I know that people would rather not fail, but it was through a lot of those failures that I actually was able to groom what it is that I'm actually doing today. So once the playing career was over, once I realized I couldn't motivate kids to do what they were supposed to do, coaching wasn't an option. You take everything that I've ever learned in sports in my entire life, and if you're not broadcasting, you really don't have anything to do. The playing career was over. The coaching career was never going to happen. It's either broadcasting or quit. So I stayed with it, and I decided to dive into broadcasting, and something just kind of clicked. A quarter century ago, I sounded very different than what I do now. That was part of the education. I understood that being a Gaston County native is probably not going to get me very far. I would be able to broadcast in Gaston County. That's as good as it was ever going to get. I understood that I needed to change the way I speak. I needed to expand my lexicon. I need to really expand everything that I'm learning from a basis of information so that I can take it with me to wherever it is I'm going. Fortunately, for myself, I caught some breaks. I worked hard. I got some folks, I got in front of some folks that actually had some spots open. They let me dive in. I kind of wrote it out with them for a little bit, and it led me to my next job, and so on and so forth. The opportunity in broadcast, if you're willing to work hard and you've got a little bit of magic to you, you can actually make this thing work out. I can give you a number of stories from various other schools about guys, one in particular, and you'll love this story. He went to school in one of the upstate of South Carolina universities as he wanted to be a nurse, but he enjoyed sports. So he decided, okay, I'll get into the sports broadcasting program, kind of dabble with that a little bit and see how it goes. He graduated in nursing, but because of his acumen behind a camera, he's now working for Fox. He's now working for all the major networks from their sports broadcast side. If it's a big event, he's at a brand new venue every week for college football. He just took care of about a 2 to 3 month playoff run in the Philippines for their professional basketball league. This is a guy that's traveled the world. This is a guy that's made really good money. And the degree that he has in nursing, he doesn't even utilize because he's in such demand from a broadcast camera work standpoint. And those opportunities are available if you're willing to get your hands dirty and willing to take a chance on your ability. And again, if you've got a little bit of magic in you, you can make some of this kind of thing happen. Another guy, very similar career path, wanted to do something completely different, but understood that diving in sports was something he found, okay, it could be a cool hobby. Completely transformed his life. It's not a hobby anymore. It's his life's work. So now, every once in a while, I'll get an email from him. Brian, I'm in Charlotte. Going to cover the Panthers game this weekend. Hopefully we can catch up. Hey, Brian, got an ACC event going up in Greensboro this week. Let's catch up. I'm on my way through the upstate. I'd love to meet you. All sorts of things like this happen to people that are willing to get their hands dirty and have a little bit of magic in them. And if you got a little bit of magic in you, whether it's sports or otherwise, and you're willing to get your hands dirty, you can find yourself an opportunity in the business, a really good opportunity that really begins to fulfill you. Belmont Abbey College's program could be a first step into that. I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm a big shot executive in major networks. I'm not even going to sit here and try to tell you that I know a lot of these guys. But what I do know is this: Charlotte is a really solid place to get a foothold in the industry. And if you can somehow show that you're willing to work and show that you got a little bit of magic in you, those people are going to take you on and they're going to give you opportunities. Maybe Charlotte is all you ever want to do. That's totally fine. You're learning skills that translate in Los Angeles. You're learning skills that translate in New York. You're learning skills that translate around the globe. Whether you stay in Charlotte or not is completely up to you. Those opportunities are there. To give you some context as to what it is that I'm dealing with at Belmont Abbey, because it is a brand new program, usually in the context of a producer, a director, camera operators that are all kind of synced in over the headsets, if I'm talking about what a beautiful day it is and the colors in the leaves changing because it's that time of the year, usually most camera operators kind of get, okay, I'm looking for those secondary and tertiary camera shots that aren't necessarily related to the game action itself. So I'm going to go find the camera shot that's going to show just how nice the colors are changing in the trees, so that when the director calls on me and he runs the switcher that direction, I've got a winning shot that makes the broadcast guy look like he's exactly right. And it's that sort of synchronicity that makes all the difference in a good broadcast versus an outstanding broadcast. To give you some context as to what it is that I'm dealing with some of the kids, because they just really don't know whether or not they want to get into it or not. So I'm broadcasting and I'm literally reaching over and grabbing the camera and saying, okay, let's turn this toward the trees a little bit since we've got a second. That's kind of where we are with this program. But a lot of you guys are already in this classroom right now, and if you heard me on headset broadcasting, you wouldn't have to think about that. You know that that's a shot you can go and grab, and it turns good into great. And that's what captivates a viewer. And ultimately, I think that's what each and every one of you want to do, whether or not it has anything to do with sports or otherwise. You want to expand on the vision and the imagination of the end user, which is the viewer. And you have that little bit of magic in you, you have that little bit of creativity in you that can really turn a broadcast from good to great. I think that's what we're looking for at Belmont Abbey. And I understand that's probably not for everybody in the classroom, but it might be for you. And I'd love to help continue a dialogue with you guys to see where it is that we can take this. Because in 10 years, this program has a real opportunity to go from good to great. And a lot of that's not going to depend on me. Hopefully I'm still going to be there and still going to be broadcasting. A lot of that's going to have to do with you guys and the magic that you bring to the broadcast. Because I'm not a good camera operator, any way, shape, or form. I can turn a phrase. I'm kind of witty. I have fun with the broadcast. People enjoy it. But I don't have that visual sense of bringing to life what it is that I'm talking about in a way that a lot of you guys in this room do. And I'm hoping that if enough of you come on board and we can kind of tie into what it is that you're seeing and what it is that I'm saying, we can in fact take an entire network from good to great. Do you have any questions for me at this time? Yes.
All right, so if we graduate here with the associate's degree and switch over to y'all school, will we be getting a certificate or another degree?
No, as a matter of fact, and please, this is where you're going to dive in. This is going to be your level of expertise. You get an associate's degree here. Part of the articulation agreement is going to be you're going to dive into a program that's going to have various and sundry cores of study with various electives. You're going to end up with a degree, as it turns out, in sport management, but you're going to have a lot of the working pieces to go out and get a job doing the other things.
Okay, so it's going to be a sports management degree, and we're also going to have the broadcast production degree.
Yes, you'd have a 4-year, you'd leave here with a 4-year degree. I was gonna pass out actual copies of what it would look like, but the email system has been down all morning since 7
We'll
a.m.
get-
So you can
yes.
pay Gaston College for that.
So it is a Bachelor's of Arts in Sport Management, and we have, for example, some classes that we tailor our students. Those students who are very interested in broadcasting or in media general, right? We had to go a little broad. We do not have a communication department at Belmont Abbey, so we had to go a little broad from the media standpoint. And so, for example, we have a sport media class. We have a social media management class. The Vice President of Marketing for Fox Sports teaches that class for us, which is, I don't know how we landed him. He's phenomenal. He missed last week's class because he was up in New York installing some new virtual reality cameras for the ALCS baseball game. So we're trying to make those industry-wide connections to bring in as adjuncts. We have the sport broadcasting that you would actually already get credit for. And so we're moving some of our curriculum that direction, but it is a Bachelor's of Arts in Sport Management.
Are there scholarship opportunities for those that help volunteer, or are there any scholarship opportunities that you know of for example, like first generation college, transfers? Or do you have any information on that?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, yes. So we actually have a sport broadcasting enrichment scholarship. It is currently set at $6,000. And there are some requirements from like GPA example. I'm not real sure what they are. I would assume it's around the 3.0 area. Please don't quote me on this. We'll definitely send you some more information. We do have some scholarship opportunities. Obviously, any of your FAFSA work has been transferred as well. And then, of course, the school has other scholarship programs as well. I just know that the one that I'm associated with and get a little influence over who gets is the Sport Broadcasting Enrichment Program. And that is definitely something that we would work very hard to try to help you get.
And also too, if money is a concern, you could take more of your core here,
Absolutely.
continue some of those humanities requirements. We do offer religion classes, because I think we have a few philosophy classes, so you could take some of those here to save money, so you wouldn't be paying Belmont Abbey for that,
Absolutely.
if money is a true concern.
That's good, because I'm running off of FAFSA right now. FAFSA's been a huge blessing to me, so if I did decide to go to a four-year college, FAFSA probably wouldn't be able to cover all of it, so a
Right,
scholarship.
so
would be
scholarship,
phenomenal.
and you can take more of your core here,
Yeah.
and then take the sports management stuff over there.
We know there's gonna be a give and take, right? We know that we're gonna get your creativity, your magic, thank you for bringing that, your magic, your experience and expertise. We know that we're gonna have to work with you individually to make this work, right? We know that we're just not gonna send you information and all of a sudden you apply out of the blue and you show up to campus one day, right? We know that this is gonna have to be, we're just gonna be a relationship built. I think we've kind of demonstrated that we're ready to build some strong relationships. And so we just want to contact with you and have this kind of working relationship to see if we can help you out. And it's a good match, it's a good match.
And if this is something you're interested in, when we're talking about advising and registration for next semester, if you're getting to the point where you're taking your electives, this is something we should talk about, because you're gonna have to take specific things that will count for them, so you're not wasting your money and your time. Okay, so that's something we should discuss, because it'll be a little bit different than just the regular elective list. And also, Rob Darty's interning with them now.
Yep.
I know a bunch of you, even if you aren't gonna go there for a four-year degree, you could always do the internship, try it out, at least get experience filming games, even if you don't even wanna pursue the four-year degree, if you plan to do something else. So there's that option too.